The 49-year-old Uzumaki, who became Hokage, Episode 51, Armistice Agreement. Knowing that Qian and Uchiha are about to start the final battle, Masahiko is excited. He packed up his clothes early, and waited for him to trick him into 1,000 hands. I didn't expect that a week later, Xingyan found himself completely passionate. I don't know his second grandfather's current strength, and it's normal to not come to me. Xingyan can only comfort himself with this narcissistic heart. After waiting for another 3 days, Masahiko finally gave up waiting for someone to come. I still take the initiative to go. Masahiko bid farewell to the big sister and 3 disciples, and went to the 1,000 hands again. This time I disagreed with the 3 disciples to follow. In the last battle, there was no place for them to practice their hands. In the face of the present column and the spot, Xingyan did not have time to protect them. Arriving in the 1,000 hands and one family, the guards of the 1,000 hands have become familiar with the face of Xingyan and have not intercepted him. Xingyan went straight to the patriarchal hall, and he felt that there was a column between him and the room. After entering the door, Xingyan directly asked, "I heard that you have to fight with Uchiha again. Why didn't you go to the second grandfather?" There was no opening in the day, but the column was talking. "2 grandfathers, who said that we want to fight with Uchiha? I just sent them an armistice agreement. I am taking a look at it, and carefully look at it." At one time, the air solidified, and it was uncomfortable to see it by Masahiko. Masahiko continued to speak. "I am a man in the daytime. You sent the armistice agreement without actually attaching his head. How can Uchiha agree?" Masahiko smiled and opened his mouth. Daytime. The column was first to laugh and cry, then fell into thinking. "Hey, big brother. You are not really thinking about it. I saw it in the daytime and took a look at Xingyan." Shaking his head between the columns, said to Xingyan, "Second grandfather, do you mean that the spot will not agree to the armistice?" "Of course not. If you kill the plaque, can you agree to the armistice?" Xingyan asked. After a moment of meditation between the columns, I nodded. "Between the columns, you will lose the day." Masahiko is helpless. "Ah. I don't mean that. I nod my head and say that I don't understand that the spot will stop." The column quickly explained. "Big brother, you 2 talk first. I went to see the injured people. I feel that I can't stay any longer. These 2 people make him very difficult." After walking around, Xingyan looked at the column. "Do you have a group of people injured? Do you help me with treatment?" "No, the second grandfather was injured 10 days ago, and recovered almost. I don't know how to think about it again during the day. The column between the heads is very doubtful." Masahiko almost laughed out loud. "How do you think about it when you think about it? After all, it's easy to slow down." Xingyan finally asked what he wanted to know. "How did you feel with the spotlight a few days ago?" "The spot has become stronger." "Ah, yes, I almost lost." There was a lingering look between the columns. Xingyan's face changed. "What happened?" "The spot does not know when to grab the 9 tails, and put the Zwazwa energy on the 9 tails. The power of the technique has increased too much." The column slowly tells the battle process. The number of faces of Masahiko changed, and I recalled the conversation with the vortex leader. The battle between the 2 changed the terrain of 100 miles. I just thought that he was exaggerating. I didn't expect the spot to get 9 tails in advance. In this way, will the battle of the end of the valley not be staged in advance? Xingyan was worried, but there was still a smile on the column. "Nothing, the next grandfather will help you." Shaking his head between the columns, "Second grandfather, I have mastered this battle and I have improved it. I can defeat him next time. Your surgery should not be used easily." "My surgery?" Xingyan wondered. "How do you know that I learned to be dusty?" "What dust?" The column is puzzled. "I am talking about the technique of restoring youth." "Oh." Xingyan's heart smacked his own slap in the face, and shouted in his heart, "Being young is a special skill." Remember, in the heart of teaching himself a meal, Xingyan looked up and saw a bamboo slip on the table in front of the column. "There is a bamboo slip in front of the column." Xingyan whispered, inexplicably happy. Between the columns, I have become accustomed to the state of self-entertainment from time to time, throwing bamboo slips over. Masahiko opened it and smiled more happily. The general meaning is, to build a harmonious world ideal, realize the dream of a country and a village, eliminate the hatred of the ninja, 1,000 hands willing to set an example, stop the attack. Wang Yuji wave spots do not forget the initial heart, complete the childhood dream. Signature is the 1,000-hand column and the twists and turns of the hand. Seeing the column between the column and seeing it, I asked with a puzzled question, "2 grandfathers, this is a draft of the armistice agreement. Is there any problem?" "No problem, just with that." "Oh, nothing." Xingyan thought about it and didn't know how to explain it. This armistice agreement is a bit like the book of the relationship between the mother-in-law and the relationship between the son-in-law and the sect. When did the armistice agreement come out? Jing Yan asked again. Oh, this morning. Hesitated between the columns and replied. Well, let the people of the Qianzhou people prepare for it according to the distance. Uchiha should be here tomorrow. Between the columns. Although I really want to say that he issued a truce agreement, not a war agreement, but when it comes to his mouth, he inexplicably feels that Jing Yan is right. Well, I let the people prepare for it. The column reveals a very classic look of depression, and Jing Yan wants to laugh. Saying goodbye to the column, Masahiko lived in a familiar room. One person alone, Jing Yan showed a heavy expression. The spot actually got 9 tails in advance. Is it black in the ghosts? It is said that there is a happy eye. I don't know if I can find blackness. What should I do this time? If the final valley is staged in advance, I am afraid that the Huiying plot will completely change. I am afraid that my testimony will be gone. When you are fighting, sneak a sneak peek at it? It feels like you are not inside. Masahiko had a hard time thinking about it and eventually did not come up with a perfect solution. Forget it, take a step and take a step. Maybe the spot suddenly becomes a parallel? The column also says that you have a breakthrough, and you won't necessarily get a serious injury. The next day, as Jing Yan expected, the troops of the Uchiha family came to the vicinity of the Thousand Hands. It is said that it is a force, but there are fewer than 100 people behind the spot. It seems that Uchiha is really hit by 1,000 hands. I saw a spot between the columns. I was trying to go forward and persuade me to let my eyes recall my childhood. The face of the spot has changed and changed, biting his teeth. Old guy, why are you still not dead? Said, rushed toward Jing Yan. Masahiko was shocked and never imagined that it was such an expansion. Spot, what area messed up? Episode 52, 3 battles Uchiha wave spot, 2 grandfather. Faced with the Uchiha wave spot that was rushing to Masahiko, the column and the day were both shocked and ready to shoot, but found that the spot was suddenly braked and raised his head. Jing Yan has already flown into the air, and laughs at the opening. Spot, can't be angry? The plaque fired 3 feet, and the riding wheel began to rotate. Stop, Spot. The column reacted and stopped in front of the spot. The spot saw a look at the column and said, don't you want to stop fighting? Yes. If you want to kill your brother, let me kill this old guy. In the midair, Masahiko was awkward and almost fell. Just kidding. On the side, I was furious. Big brother, don't have hope for him. Let's kill him together. In the midair, Masahiko is revealing the color of thinking. If you get the 9-tailed spot, if you fight with the column now, it's really hard to win or lose. If I... Thinking, Masahiko said, Pig, do you mean that you can kill me if you want to kill? You didn't take advantage of the big 2. When I mentioned the first 2 fights, the anger of the spot spurted out. Now, I have the power that Chuan left for me, the hatred that left me, you old guy, hee. Come on, let me play with you again. After this battle, the grievances are gone. Jing Yan smiled and spoke. 2 grandfathers. The column was about to dissuade but was blocked by Jing Yan. I can't fly between the columns. Don't worry, I won't use that technique. Jing Yan explained. Hesitated between the columns, no more dissuasion, the heart was thinking that it was not good to save Jing Yan. Uchiha waved his hand and said to the people behind him, you are back. Some people who are still willing to follow him are still paying attention to it. The column also looked at the people behind him, don't take them away. There are only 3 of them left in the field, and the spot looks at the column. Between the columns, do you want to save this old guy from me? That's a try. After waiting for the column to answer, the spot directly launched the need for Zhua. The sacred form of the Tengu form was completely present in front of Masahiko, and the spot directly pulled out the long knife at the waist and smashed it to Jing Yan. Call. This is the complete body, and finally I saw it. Jing Yan, who was hiding from the side, looked at the mountain behind him and was sighed in half. But it's really not so good to have been spotted so small. The bandits opened soil and rock. Masahiko's hands were printed, and the land under the right foot suddenly rose, and the giant had to lose balance. The spot retracts the long knife as a support. Dust mites, the original boundary stripping technique. Masahiko issued a white crystal column in his hand, but the attacking point was a long knife with a spot, and he had to sit on the ground with a giant. Old guy. Suzhou giant actually bounced. Jing Yan looked at the corner of his eyes. This is how much hatred, but fortunately I flew in the air, or else I have to feel the earthquake. Spot, every time you start the game, you are so embarrassed, do you have to give up all the strength? Jing Yan smiled and opened his mouth. When I heard this sentence, the spot actually lifted the need for Zhuazeng, and nodded slightly. Old guy, you are right. Every time I have a little look at you, you can end up with a strange ninjutsu that does not cause me little trouble, except for the column. You can really count as my second opponent. Next, I won't care more. Psychic. Nine tails? Or the first time I saw. Jing Yan looked at the sly fox in front of her eyes and muttered. Imperial mode, open. The complete body of the plaque gradually envelopes the nine tails and merges into one. This is the legendary tail beast. Masahiko sighed and looked at the tail beast jade that was gradually formed in the mouth of the nine tails. The hands were printed, Synfidust dipper bound stripping. The dust mites and the tail beast jade that had to be smashed together, and Jing Yan quickly rose to the sky, or was hit by the impact. When the impact is exhausted, the plane has just turned into a huge deep pit. The 1,000 hands are in the vicinity. Jing Yan looked to the south, only to see the giant trees. Right, there is a column. Jing Yan breathed a sigh of relief. Old guy, just a good move, can you use it a few times? Masahiko smiled. Chakra is something like this. Something is. The seventh door, shocked, open. The light blue steam is emitted from Jing Yan, and the chakra in the body has turned dozens of times. This is, body skills? Old guys, I don't want to deal with me with physical skills. The 8 armor is here, it's just a way to improve chakra. I just wanted to open 5. After all, the 7 doors hurt, but I suddenly had a bold idea. Masahiko said slowly, pulled out 4 special shurikens were thrown around the spot. Shadow divided surgery. Jing Yan split out 4 shadows, and at the same time launched the shuriken for his body, came to the spot. The enchantment, the 4 red yang array. The red enchantment enveloped the Uchi wave spot and his body. Masahiko nodded slowly. Sure enough, I have a lot of chakras. I can do this after using 7 doors. Old guy, is it going to trap me with this kind of thing? Uchiha was spotted with a knife, but it was shaken open, and the control of the 9 tails once again condensed the tail beast jade. So what? The fairy law, dust mites, the limit stripping technique. Masahiko once again launched this technique in the enchantment shuriken substitute. Ima Yen, who escaped from the enchantment, squatted to the ground and looked into the interior of the enchantment. Front hit, will not be killed, spot. Jing Yan mouth slightly pumped. The smoke was exhausted, and the 4 shadows of Masahiko also exhausted chakra and disappeared. It's still lost. It's not a Uchiha wave spot. Although it can still open 8 doors, I'm afraid I can't do it all the same. I can use it if I don't have it. Looking at Uchiha spot as unscathed, Masahiko smiles, when the key time is used to resist the attack with 9 tails. The death of the 9 tails is really bad. Old guy, I was almost killed by you. Now it's your turn to die. The big smile, Xiang Jingyan rushed over. Enough. Spot. The column appeared in time, letting Jingyan completely relieved. Do you have to be born and died? Between the columns, it is still the same sentence, or let me kill this old guy, or you will kill me in this state. Spot, can't you really go back to the days of the previous flood? I have been different from before. Yujibwa was slightly silent. Killing you, the young people of your Uchiha family will rise up again. Uchiha has not been so young. There will be, killing you, hatred cannot be eliminated. Quan Nai's hatred, I will pay for it. Jing Yan looked at the reality version of the column and committed suicide. He always feels full of feelings. However, Mai finally returned to the right track. Finally, it was not a fight. Episode 53, Watching for Help, end of this volume. With the battle of Masahiko and Bien, the warring states fell, and Jing Yan also regained 20 points of witness. The weaker wave spot and the hand column that agreed to reconcile each part of the family led the ninja to form an organization, which is also the original wood leaf. Second grandfather, can the vortex really join the My village? Asked the column. Masahiko smiled bitterly. Really not. Over the years, the whirlpool has become the most big family in the warring states. The population is 1 million, the number of ninjas is nearly 10,000, and more children are born. Jing Yan is thinking about a family planning. If the vortex joins the village of Mai, I am afraid that you are not building a village, but building a country. Jing Yan explained. Hey, old guy, Konoha is not better for you. Next to Uchihabo hate. Masahiko is speechless and doesn't know where to send the spot. I will go back and talk to the big sister. After that, the whirlpool and the wood leaves will become eternal allies. Jing Yan said, and looked at the spot again. Wood leaves are built, I will often go, there is no war village. It is suitable for old age. The spotted cold screamed, old guy, I don't think you have much time, so take care of yourself. Jing Yan ignored him and asked the column, what about the day? Why didn't you see him during this time? Ah, haha. I have arranged a relocation within the family. He played a haha between the columns. Masahiko smiled and shook his head. With the friend of the base, I forgot my brother. It's pitiful. Okay, then I am going back. Jing Yan and the column say goodbye and return to the Vortex family. Back to the Vortex. Jing Yan looked at the extraordinarily noisy tribe and sighed. Almost forgot, 3 days is the new year. Teacher, you are back. The familiar voice came. Jing Yan turned his head, his mouth twitched, bowed. Jing Wei, why do you talk to me upside down? Teacher. I am going to stand up and walk the whirlpool, this is a special practice. Jing Hao replied loudly. Well, let's go. Jing Yan turned around and went to teach Jing Jing so that he felt a little shameful. He didn't want to think about how big the current swirling land is, and why he chose such a person. Oh. Jing Jing promised. Wait, come back. According to the child? Jing Yan asked the well, and asked questioningly. Oh, yes, I almost forgot. Jinji replied. She is at Nana. Masahiko waved his hand, know it. Walking in the increasingly wide vortex area, Masahiko's thoughts gradually drifted away. 8 years ago, the little girl who poured me a bucket of water has already become a mother? Time flies so fast. Jing Yan thought, shook his head. How have you been more and more sentimental recently, and still like memories? Wouldn't it be really old? Think about it too. In the past 24 years, 66 years in this life, I have actually said that it is 90 years old, the life of ordinary people. I want to do this, I can still live for a few more than 90 years. I am not a normal person. All the way to thinking, Jing Yan unwittingly came to the patriarchal hall. Uncle, are you coming back? I heard that before the Chansho and Uchiha wars won the Uchiha wave between the pillars in the war, the patriarch saw Jing Yan and asked. Masahiko's face is black, I am fighting with the spot. 2 uncles. Everyone saw the towering raft and the huge light blue giant. The patriarch clearly did not believe. Masahiko's face is darker, and the giant of the spot is clearly fighting with him, and the raft between the columns is just to protect the 1,000 hands. After thinking about it, Jing Yan did not explain it, and the peerless power hidden behind the scenes. I was happy. Well, it was one between the columns. Now Chansho and Yukibo have joined together to create a village called Konoha. The Vortex chief has changed his face, and the old politicians who have been for more than 20 years have suddenly thought of all the effects of this matter. After the establishment of the leaves, even if the column becomes the leader, it is relatively impossible to continue to maintain such an intimate relationship with the Vortex, because the village high level must have Uchiha and other ethnic minorities. The reaction is very fast. Jing Yan chuckled. So although we can't all join the Wood Leaves, we must also belong to the Wood Leaves in the name, and we need to have our own family in the village. The Vortex chief is in hesitation. Hey, big sister, you won't be thinking about the founding of the country. Jing Yan scratched his head. The Vortex family smiled and defaulted. You are a patriarch who is not addicted. Do you want to be a big name? Jing Yan snorted. All of them are in their 50s, and they can still work for a few years. The Vortex patriarch looked at Jing Yan. Hey, you 2 uncles are special. Jing Yan gave him a look. After the establishment of the Wood Leaves, other major countries will gradually establish their own villages, not tied with the Wood Leaves. We eat jujube pills. How Dun persuaded, and finally dismissed the unrealistic thoughts in Daxi's heart. In fact, it is not unrealistic. With the current strength of Jing Yan, it is not afraid of others to destroy the Vortex family but not afraid of thief stealing is afraid of thieves. There is always a place that Jing Yan cannot. And Masahiko does not want to be tied to the Whirlpool family all the time. After the new year, Jing Yan walked on the familiar street, thinking that my village was being built at a high speed. This year can be said to be the end of the Warring States period. In the Warring States period 67, Jing Yan lived in the heat for the first 48 years, and lived in the last 19 years. After the establishment of the Wood Leaves, it is probably safe, mixed with the witness points, see the characters I have seen before in the past. Wood Leaves are much slower than he imagined. They have a lot of things to do between the columns, contact the name, arrange for the reincarnation to relocate, divide the ninja territory, and draw the civilians to stay. The most labor-saving is the construction of the wooden leaf building. After a busy year, Jing Yan occasionally went to see the construction progress. After all, it is very convenient to fly. The 4 sides of the leaves are occupied by thousands of hands, Uchiha, whirlpools, and the other miners interspersed between their 4 families. The Vortex can occupy a good site by relying on the number of people and the number of people, while the Japanese is relying on the friendly relationship with the big name. I want to come now, I am really farsighted to endure in the day. Jing Yan occasionally laments. Coincidentally, the family living on both sides of the vortex family is exactly the same as the Feifei and Jitsuan, which may be specially arranged between the columns considering the relationship of Masahiko. Until the end of the year, the Whirlpool family once again came to the Whirlpool, in addition to the news that the wooden leaves will be held in the New Year-on-Year ceremony, and also brought a watch and help covenant. After signing the covenant, Jingyan flew to the height of kilometers. Exhausted the strength of the whole body, shouted, "The warring states, it's over." Sounds through the clouds. Episode 54, Woodleaf, the first year of Konoha. The newly established My Village has been able to see the shadow of later generations. The slightly familiar streets and the scenes deep in memory gradually overlap. Masahiko is wandering around the newly built My Village, remembering that the column between the pillars and the spot stood on the future of the Huinyan, and the pillars opened their arms to announce the official establishment of the My Village. The name of My Village is provided by Uchiha, while the column is the nominal leader of Naruto. The establishment of My Village on schedule has brought a full set of 100 witness points to Jingyan. In addition to the 130 points that he had previously obtained, he did not wait to add more points, but was prepared to relax for a while, after the establishment of the wood leaves. At least for a long time, you don't have to shoot. The face of the spot must be very exciting. Masahiko chuckled. In the current Konoha meeting room, in the future Naruto building, a plenary meeting is being held to select the candidate for Naruto. In the heart of Jingyan, or in the hearts of everyone, this is just a situation, and Huing can only be between the columns. Several medium-sized families may have some ideas, but the small people headed by Feifei will all support the column, and the Vortex family will support their son-in-law. But no matter what, no one will support Uchiha. No, the column will definitely support the spot. Jingyan shook his head. Unconsciously strolling through a circle of wood leaves, Masahiko did not find the building he most wanted to see, a ramen noodle restaurant. I am really a magical obstacle, but I really believe that the legendary Big Bar is a joy. Jingyan smiled bitterly. Did not find a ramen, Jingyan found several barbecue shops. You must know that the current Konoha is basically a collection of ninja people. The civilians are in 10 places. The appearance of the rotisserie makes Jingyan slightly confused. When I came closer, Jingyan's face was black. It turned out to be the Autumn Taoist family. Jingyan snorted and remembered the big fat man who was 100 meters tall in the mining war. If it is not the body of the Chotu family that is too special, Jingyan really wants to practice the secret technique of the Autumn Taoist family, so that he has the feeling of practicing the legendary fairy spell Presence of the Heavens and the Earth in the past. Fa Tianxiang? Jingyan whispered, I must be crazy. After a round, Jingyan returned to the Huiying building and found that someone had come out of the building one after another. The first to come out is the patriarch of each small tribe, except for Yufei Sasuke and Shimura Ken Masahiko. Later came out is the patriarch of each medium-sized family, 6 families, 6 patriarchs are actually 6 people familiar with Yen Yen. Jingyan sighed. Anyone still insists on not retreating. It seems that there is a fault in the younger generation. At the end of the Warring States period, the reduction of the ninja campaign and the weakening of the overall strength are inevitable. 3 times in the next generation of the ninja war, every time there will be some great people, which proves that the war is very important to the ninja. There are gains and losses. Jingyan did not say hello to the 6 acquaintances, but sighed. Now the wood leaves are really strong, beyond the patriarchal level. Oh, now it should be said that there is more than the shadow level. 2 people, count me to be 2.5. And the shadow level, there are about 10 people, as for the peak, there are countless. Jingyan stood at a distance of less than 100 meters from the 6 patriarchs, watching them walk through the heart, and actually did not notice Jingyan. Hey, do I feel so low? Then, Yen Yen looked at the sun and frowned and walked out of the building. Don't even notice the patriarchs to me? Then came out the thousands of hands and the Vortex patriarch, they noticed that Masahiko, bluntly greeted and turned away. Hey, what is so angry? After 15 minutes. Autumn Road Family Barbecue Shop. So, the West King of the Kings became the first generation of fruit flies between the columns. Would you like me to give you some ideas? Jingyan chewed the barbecue and spoke something unclear. Just use this barbecue to fool your second grandfather? Jingyan swallowed the barbecue, scratching the head between the columns, and nodded embarrassedly. In the meeting, there is no one supporting Uchiha. Masahiko sighed. The fire shadow cannot be spotted. You still want to give him another suitable position. For example, would leave foreign exchange ambassador? There is no language between the columns, and I feel that I have wasted a barbecue. I don't think this position is suitable for the spot. In the meeting, I saw that the face was not good. I propose to vote for the people of the fire. The column sighed. Thinking now, it seems more inappropriate. Oh. Masahiko almost squirted out of the barbecue. People vote? Are you afraid that the face of the spot is not enough? Seeing the column and entering the depression state, Masahiko is also embarrassed to hit him again, comforting, "Oh, you make a shadow, let the spot be a big elder, other elders let the big sister and the medium-sized family patriarch come, without during the captain, it is estimated that the spot will not be opposed." This comfort obviously has the opposite effect, and the column is more depressed. It is obvious that the hostile relationship between the day and the spot is thought. One is the younger brother, one is the base friend, it is really difficult for you, the column. Xingyan exclaimed. Gay friend? You got it wrong, it's a friend. Masahiko sat up with a barbecue and ate the private vault between the columns. Autumn Road must have a special recipe for barbecue. Otherwise, how can I eat this? I have time to get a copy. Xingyan thought of it, completely ignoring the painful face between the columns. A week later, unsurprisingly, the column was chosen to be a fire shadow with an overwhelming advantage. The face of Uchiha's spot made Xingyan think about it. Xingyan did not fully understand what happened in the middle. On the night before the election, the conversation between the day and the column was completely heard. In the meantime, the difference between the spots became the shadow of the fire, and the essence of the writing of Uchiha's eyes was explained to the column, so the face of the spot would be so bad. After the fire shadow was set, the number of elders was also determined. The final number is 4 people, Uchihabo, Nishin, Nara, and Masahiko. As for why it is not a Vortex patriarch, because he still needs to return to the Vortex family, the big and small things in the family still need him to manage. It is interesting to say that Xingyan is a member of the elders who entered the elders group. The tribes did not have a shadow-level powerhouse. They could only let Xingyan, a Vortex person who is close to the Yufei and Jutsuan families, enter the elders. At the same time, in order to take care of the spots, the opinions of the 4 people can be used by 1 vote and 2 votes to prevent the phenomenon of flat ticket, although it is not useful in the eyes of Masahiko. As for the day, he also made his brothers a wish, and set up the first generation of the Huaing Guard. When everything was in order, the village began to get busy again, ready to hold the Tingji ceremony of the first generation of Huaing. Episode 55, Marriage, February 1st. The first generation of Huaing Thundering Ceremony was held as scheduled. The people on the stage were the patriarchs of the various ethnic groups, the 4 elders who were newly released, and the newly formed Huaing Guard. In addition to this, there is the most important, the name of the Lord of Fire and the little girl he brought, and the 6 of the guardians of the 18th. This little girl who is less than 10 years old will not be the daughter of the big name, but it is pretty, but I am not a lowly control, but the name is 50 years old. Xingyan mouth, a heart, thought. Why do you come up with a big name? Why the wood leaves are attached to the country of fire, and there are various reasons for this. The ninja profession is a special profession. Since the creation of ninja, the 6-way immortal, the ninja gradually squeezed the history of the warriors who occupied the mainstream of the world. The emergence of the ninja also means the Warring States era that lasted for 1,000 years. It can be said that the ninja profession means destruction, and at the same time, the ninja is not engaged in production. In the Warring States period, the main policy of each strong family was to seize resources and sell resources to supply the ninja cultivation and life in the family. The relatively weak family, including the Vortex family, is to accommodate ordinary people and to maintain the needs of the family by charging their rent. But after the establishment of the leaves, all this has changed. All ethnic groups are arranged in the same village, and there is no object of aggression. Therefore, the resource issue has become the primary issue. For the sake of this problem, I also thought about some methods. The first is to collect commissions from civilians outside the village through missions to ensure the expenses in the village, but this is obviously a drop in the bucket. In desperation, he can only choose to be attached to the name of the country of fire and obtain funds from him. So now, Konoha is nominally a military institution that belongs to the name of the country of fire, but only enjoys autonomy. Therefore, my Huaing is in charge of such a big event, and the name of the country of fire is of course to be present. The time is near noon, and the ninja people in the audience have basically arrived, and the column has nodded to the day and stepped forward. I announced that Huaing will officially start the ceremony. Please give a speech between the first generation of Naruto. Oh. There was silence on the stage, and the laughter of Xingyan was particularly harsh. Xingyan looked around and quickly apologized. He did not expect that the column really accepted his proposal, and Huiying's appointment as a grand ceremony actually began. The most exaggerated, this discordant line is still vividly read out in 1,000 hands. Steps in front of the column, facing the entire village. Today is the first time that all the people gathered together after we built the village. This is an exciting time. This marks the official establishment of our village. We will bid farewell to frequent wars and live together in beautiful villages. Since then, peace will coexist with us, and we will use our own hands to guard this peace. I am very happy, I can be chosen as the first generation of Naruto, rubbed a tear in the corner of the column. I will use all my strength to maintain this hard-won peace. After calming down the mood, the column continued to open. Since the millennium, the 6 immortals passed away. The Kosukas he established were divided and they were in conflict with each other, bringing a 1,000-year-old war to the world. In this long period of time, the whole world is devastated, whether it is a ninja or a civilian, living a precarious life. Looking back at the column, I looked at it. Between friends, I dare not report my surname at will, worrying about the war that will break out at any time. The children will be sent to the battlefield at any time, countless family wives, and countless families will be destroyed in the war, but I have to say that from today, everyone lives together in a village, there will be no more wars, no more hatred. People can exchange their surnames at will, no need to push the children to war. The era of peace is coming. The shouting between the columns shook the whole village of Mai, and the stage was silent. For a long time, someone in the audience reacted. Peace, is it really coming? Suddenly, the scene rose and cheers were heard. Long live! Long live peace! No need to go to the battlefield again. I actually lived in peacetime. Looking at the crowds of the villagers who were cheering and jumping, the pillars showed a heartfelt smile. Jing Yan sat on the stage and watched the declaration between the columns. He felt in his heart, the past life did not pay attention. I only knew that the first generation of Huaying was a strong but somewhat funny ninja. Until now, I know why everyone I am willing to call the column between the gods of ninjas, not just because of strength. Unlike the lengthy meetings of Jing Yan's past lives, a spokesperson followed by a spokesperson. After finishing the conversation between the columns, Huaying's appointment as the conference is over. However, the excited family of ninjas and some civilians have fallen into the carnival and have not been allowed to disperse for a long time. Until the evening, the ceremony was officially ended. The column indicates that the patriarchs can return to the ethnic group. He needs to accompany the big name to turn around the wooden leaves, let Deming know the status quo of the leaves. I am not interested in the fact that I am accompanying the famous name of Mai. Although today, he also feels that the dream has really come true. There is a stomach to say to the column. Day to Heaven also nodded to the column and returned to the family. In the end, only the Masahiko, the Nara patriarch and the 3 of them are left. A total of 4 people accompanied the famous group of people to visit the leaves of the wood and took the initiative to introduce the residents of each ethnic group. In the meantime, Masahiko also took the initiative to open the door. Hello, remember me? The name hesitated. You are, oh, yes, 108 will. Jing Yan's face is black, and this name is still vengeful, no longer actively speaking. Therefore, along the way, the column and Nara patriarchs have been explaining the name, and the servant duties are being performed. Until the sky was dark, a few people sent a big name to the room, specially prepared for him. The big name was pulled by the little girl who had followed him and took the initiative to open. The patriarch of the column, oh, no, it should be called Mai Huaying. This is my little daughter Hiseong, 9 years old this year. Masahiko smiled and was really a daughter. The name is really old and strong. I heard that Huaying has a son named Xian, which is 13 years old this year. We might as well kiss my relatives and give my daughter to your son. Of course, after she is 16 years old, she will now set up a marriage. Hesitating between the columns, in order to maintain bloodlines, thousands of hands rarely marry outside, but the big name offered to take the initiative, and the Nara patriarch and the niece still gave him frequent eyes and a bite, or agreed. As for Masahiko, there is no point in thinking about the column, but there is only one idea in mind. This little girl will not be the legendary master, her mother. Episode 56, The First Elders Meeting, the next day. Huaying Building Meeting Room. No. Uchiha screamed with a black face. Seconded. 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 Masahiko, the Japanese to the sky, the Nara patriarchs agreed in unison. The column smiled and said, 3-2, Spot, you lost again. So I said, it is useless to give 2 tickets to the Spot. Jing Yan thought of it. After sending the name in the morning, the first elders meeting was held in the column, and some decisions were announced. The scene just now has been performed many times. However, this Spot is obviously a little angry and turned to Jing Yan, old guy, you are deliberate. This proposal is also willing to promise? Jing Yan looked innocent. He didn't listen to the proposal between the columns. He was completely supportive. He could only reply, hey, they agreed, why just ask me? Saying, I feel that I am taking care of it. Do you think that I am bullying? Old guy. The spotted teeth are cut and the eyes are about to start. 2 grandfathers. The column quickly stopped and said, my proposal was just that all the ancestors of all ethnic groups accept the mystery. Oh. Masahiko looked at the Nara patriarch and the Japanese patriarch, and he was so angry that it was so irritating, but his skin has been honed for a long time. I agree. I am such a selfless person. The spots were a bit green, and the columns were soothing and comforting. Well, I just made all my proposals. What supplements are there? Masahiko sees other people fall into silence and takes the lead. Between the columns, since the ninjutsu is open, simply let the education be open. To grandfather, you mean? Yes, build a ninja school. Let the various ethnic groups choose excellent people as teachers and recruit students to the whole wood leaf. Masahiko continued. This is not appropriate. The Nara patriarch slowly spoke. Many families have their own unique ninjutsu and have their own teaching methods. Xingyan glanced at him. It's not like this. I said that the ninja school is just an enlightenment. When children enter school at the age of 6, they can teach them 3 to 6 years to teach theory, foundation, history, until they become tolerant. This is okay. The Nara chief nodded and stopped talking. And, Masahiko continued to add, we can recruit civilian children and collect their tuition, so that not only can attract civilians, but also solve some financial problems. People, and the day tolerate at the same time questioned, looked at each other, and turned coldly and turned around. Masahiko smiled. How? Spot, the patriarch of the day, will not be afraid that the children in the family can't compare with the children of the civilians. Xingyan said, the two really no longer opposed. Well, since everyone has no opinion, said the intercolumn. There is a matter of preparing for the ninja school. I am going to prepare. Xingyan interrupted. I thought to myself, I spent so much effort to change the plot and mixed up the testimony, and I was almost completely backed by you. Oh, okay, Grandpa, come on. Speaking of this, the column continued to open. I remembered one more thing. The patriarch of the Japanese, this time to arrange some ethnic groups to patrol outside the village. Do we have any enemies? Xingyan scratched his head, thinking that it would not be established by the other 4 major countries in advance. Hey, old guy. The spot was open again. How? Xingyan smashed the past, pig, do you think I am upset? I played a haha between the columns. 2 grandfathers, 9 tails, 9 tails. When I was returning to the gods, I remembered that the 9 tails were about to be resurrected, no wonder that there was a singular expression. I have a proposal. At this time, the Nara patriarch slowly opened his mouth. The safety outside the village is given to the Japanese, and the safety of the village is also responsible. Although the various ethnic groups have agreed to let go of hatred, it is difficult for the ninjas who have lost their loved ones to completely let go. Some people must be strictly guarded, and when necessary, they can be arrested. I think this is best for the Uchiha family. Uchiha stunned a bit, wanted to speak, and silenced. He knew in his heart that this kind of thing would offend everyone, but his own pride made him unable to refuse. What is this? Xingyan said in his heart. Take the elders of the elders, and come to a Nara patriarch. Is Uchiha so unappreciated? Although Masahiko has some gaps with the spot, there is no hatred for Uchiha, and it is hard to accept Uchi to the rebellion. I don't think it is appropriate. Masahiko said. The big rights all give Uchiha a family that is not reassuring. I suggest that all ethnic groups have some people. The Nara patriarch brows wrinkled, and how his savvy might not be able to hear that Yen is helping Uchiha, and sometimes he can't figure it out. Hey! Old guy, you mean that my Uchiha people are not reliable? The column, let us do this thing. Unexpectedly, it was the initiative to take the responsibility. Masahiko's eyes are closed. I am not afraid of God's opponents, I am afraid of pig-like teammates. Well, pig teammates, you are happy. Xingyan said, the spotted face looked awkward. That's it. The column between the channels, this time, naively, he still felt that he gave Yukibo a big right, and felt that he had given some compensation to Uchiha. Although it is inevitable that the Uchiha family will offend some people, he does not think that there will be big problems. What else is there? Spot asked another question between the columns. The spot was slightly silent, and it was only then that Xingyan had actually helped him, but in the face of a resolution that was a foregone conclusion, he shook his head and said that there was nothing else. So, this time the elders' meeting is here, everyone will inform you about the family ninjas coming to me to enter the information, then I will grade the tasks I received and let the right ninjas do it. Xingyan, who was originally prepared to get up, sat back again. There was no relatively accurate grading of the level of the Naruto world. Hearing the question between the columns, Xingyan had an idea. It is better to hold a general assessment than to let the ninjas of all ethnic groups enter information. Because the grading of the various families is still somewhat different, it is better to test them, and according to the level of the task, they are also assigned one-to-one correspondence. Say your own thoughts. This is a good idea, the Nara patriarch nodded. This will effectively avoid unnecessary damage in the mission. I have no opinion. Hey. Uchiha stood up and walked out. He feels his own 2 votes, and there is no use at all. Okay, that's it, said the column and chased it out. The 3 people in the room looked at each other and nodded to each other, indicating that they were happy. Konoha Stadium. That's right, the name is from Masahiko. This is a building similar to the venue of the posthumous examination in the later generations, but it has to be many times larger. It should be proposed by Masahiko, where the ninja rating of 10 years old or older is held, and the ninjas under the age of 10 all need to enter the wood leaves established soon. School, further study. After several discussions, it was decided to divide the ninja level into 9 levels, of course not from level 1 to level 9. From low to high are, underbearance, middle tolerance, elite tolerance, especially forbearance, ordinary forbearance, elite forbearance, S-level ninja, S-level ninja, S+ level ninja. Under the 3 can form a small team in the elite to endure the above-mentioned ninja to lead the team to complete the C-level task, 3 can bear the completion of the B-level task, and the elite can bear the B-level task independently or lead the team to lead the C-class task. In particular, it is tolerant in a certain aspect. You can form a team to complete the A-level task under the leadership of the elite, and you can complete the A-level task independently. The elite and the S-class ninja are the absolute main force of the village. The peak of the warring states will eventually be divided into these 2 levels. The village's S-level tasks are completed by them. As for why you said that there is no D-level task, in this era, there are really no civilians who dare to let the ninja adults take children, find cats, or something. The last 2 levels, even the current number of wood leaves, are not many. The S-class ninjas represent the patriarch-level powerhouses of the warring states, such as the Nara patriarchs. The S+ level ninjas are only 1,000 hands, the Chimu patriarch, the Japanese Tian, and the Jingyan. At the time of grading, everyone tacitly did not add 10 or even 11, because no one can assess the strength of the column and the spot. Standing in the center of the newly built My Stadium, Jingyan looked around. The ninjas of each family have a side team sitting in the stands, and seem to have a sense of sight in the college games. Yes, Jingyan is standing in the middle of the field. His identity today is an examiner who evaluates the level of tolerance. Several elders were involved, and they were judged by the Japanese patriarch. His white eye test was very convenient. Zhong Ning was judged by the Nara patriarch, and he could not be seen with his IQ. He could teach it at a glance. Masahiko, because Masahiko has no shortcomings, it will not make the tricks of the people who are ruthless. The evaluation of the S-class ninja was originally intended to come in person, but Jingyan said, I think the spot is more suitable. He stands there and everyone will unconsciously attack him. As for the reaction of the spot, it is another story of a chicken flying dog. There was a figure in front of Masahiko and interrupted the thoughts of Masahiko. He looked up and looked at it. White hair, the flag family, only 12 or 3 years old, will you judge it? The opposite boy had a gentle smile. Elders, my hair is blue. Jingyan's face was black, exposing the color blindness, and quickly explained, hey, today's sunshine is really dazzling. So, blue long-hair teenager, are you a variant of the flag family? The opposite boy still has a gentle face. Elders, I am not a member of the Flagwood family. My name is Kato. Hey, cough, cough. Jingyan has not been spit on his own for years. The opposite boy can no longer hold a smile. Elders, where is my name? I didn't expect it to be the Kato family. Jingyan thought, but said in his mouth, nothing, test it, a total of 3, the first 2 you finished testing. Kato Jin handed a transcript, and Jingyan took over. The basic elite is forbearing, the ninjutsu elite is forbearing, and your age is not bad. Do you want to be particularly tolerant? Kato nodded. I practiced the secret rumor of the family and went to the elders to test. Masahiko nodded, use it once for me. Kato's face is embarrassed. Elders, my secret technique is special. Nothing, isn't it the magical technique? My in attribute is up to level 6. What? It's okay, you attack at random, hide and count, I lose. Jingyan looked impatient. Kato Jin no longer said more, an angry look, ninjutsu spiritualization. After a while, his face was completely green. The activating soul just entered the spiritual world of Masahiko, and was kicked by the soul of Masahiko on the return to his body. Haha, the strength of the soul is okay, it's nothing to kick me. Jingyan, haha smiled. You passed, the next one. Kato's face changed a little, and he left silently. Jingyan smiled in his heart. Kato is estimated to be his son. He actually chased the goddess in the hearts of many people. How can I not bully you? I was thinking of it, I found it cloudy. Jing Yan looked up, and a slightly exaggerated fat man stood in front of him. Is the Autumn family? You gave me the recipe for your family's barbecue. How do I let your direct elite endure? The fat man scratched his head slightly, and the big door scared Jing Yan. Really? Masahiko sees people around him look at him. The face changes, fake. Come and evaluate. The test results came out. It was the turn of Yan Yan's face, and the fat man of this Autumn Taoist family could have been rated as an elite, and he felt like he was being swayed. Next? To grandfather, it's my turn. The familiar figure came to Jing Yan. Oh, constitutional, I know about your strength. You don't have to test it. Is it normal? The constitution nodded and agreed, and Jing Yan showed a smirk. See the little girl who gave you a kiss between the columns? Definitely? What is the deer? Jing Yan's face changed, and the constitution did not know? Could it be that the column is afraid that the otter knows that he will set his son's affair without her consent, and dare not say? I am afraid that he is stuck in the column. Seeing the opposite face of the constitution, Su Yan quickly said, oh, nothing, next. The rating has been carried out for 3 days. The number of ninjas in Konoha has exceeded 100,000. Among them, there are more than 1,000 people in the forbearance. If you add a vortex attached to the leaves of the wood, the current wood leaves are terrible. When Jing Yan saw the column, he was sullen. With so many ninjas, how many tasks can you? Jing Yan smiled. This is what you have to worry about. I will take care of the old bones. The column was smashed. 2 grandfathers, I have always wanted to ask about your age. You always look like this. Me too, Grandpa. I don't know where to come from. Masahiko scratched his head. I am about 20 years old this year. Sun to column. Day to day. Episode 57, Ninja School. In this ninja world where the building was built, the establishment of the ninja school took almost half a year until the end of July. The main reason is that Jing Yan's requirements are too many. One will say that the equipment of the ninja school is not enough. It should add some music rooms, painting rooms, and cultivate student sentiments. It is said that the seismic level of the buildings is not high enough, at least it must have 8 levels. Seismic rating. The bandit ninja who is in charge of the building wants a ninja to hit the face of Jing Yan and let him know what is the 8th order vibration. Jing Yan's misunderstanding on people is also aggrieved. He thinks that in the future, pain will attack and will be levied. At that time, you will feel my greatness. In short, the ninja school is finally built. Witness and change the main story of the Huiying world. Would leave school, get the witness point 10.5. The familiar Chinese characters flashed, and the busyness of Masahiko for nearly half a year was not in vain. When the ninja school was built, Jing Yan went straight to find the column. Between the columns, the ninja school is built. I know, my grandfather, then enrollment, I will pass the school. The column returned. Hey, the rest is handed over to the day to do it. Jing Yan was a little embarrassed, but quickly and confidently. The 2 grandfathers are old, and they feel very tired during the first half of the year. There was a strong face between the columns. You, in order to build a school building? In the past 6 months, many people have asked him to complain, and he believes that the requirements of Jing Yan building are too troublesome. However, the column was also tossed by Jing Yan, but I did not expect Jing Yan to finish the school, I just wanted to let go. Ah, Jing Yan agreed. I still feel that it is more suitable to manage the school. I know the character of my grandfather. Don't teach the next generation of my. The pillars suddenly realized, 2 grandfathers, don't worry, you are a qualified teacher, look at your 3 apprentices. Masahiko's face was black and he thought, is it necessary for me to say that I don't want to do it? I don't know where to drill out from the corner. Big brother, I will manage it. Masahiko almost moved to tears. Between the columns, since I took the initiative, I left. Jing Yan said, quickly left the Huiying office. I couldn't help but look at the column between the columns. On the way home, Jing Yan hit the boxing with his hand and finally threw away the burden. However, the ninja school, which has been working hard to build, still has someone to look at. Jing Yan thought, let the Yitzi and Jingjing come. No, you can't let the well come. Jing Yan thought about a group of thick eyebrows, and couldn't help but shudder. After half a month. Jing Yan looked helplessly at the well. Don't you say that you are not coming? Teacher, I can't stay in the family. Jing Hao looked sad. What's wrong? Jing Yan looked confused and looked at Jing Hao to reveal this expression is really rare. Our patriarchs are crazy, and teach me some mess all day. Jing Yan looked bitter. I am a singer, dear big sister, I don't want to train the next patriarch. Hey, you come over. Jing Yan snorted and felt that Jingjing became the vortex patriarch. I am afraid that the whirlpool will not destroy others and will destroy itself. But Jing Yan shouted again. Why didn't you rely on Zizi? Yizi is very popular with children in the family. Recently he is busy teaching them to be able to do it. Jingwei replied. Masahiko scratched his head and did not believe in the explanation of Jingjing. I thought that Yizi was already 16 years old. It is estimated that there will be some girls' troubles. Thinking of this, Jing Yan looked at Jingjing again, and the single cell is also very good. No troubles will happen. Okay, I will take you to the day tomorrow. You will be good at teaching at the ninja school in the future, but if you want to pass it on to others, you must be careful. Oh. Teacher. Jing Hao shouted, and curious eyes came from all around. Jing Yan's face was black, and it was discovered that he and Jing Jing were still at the entrance to the village. Let's go, I will take you to visit the school I personally supervised. September 1st. The ninja school officially opened. On the day of enrollment, there are many ninjas who are familiar with Yen Yen and bring their children to school. For example, with the next 3 generations of Naruto, Sasuke. Sasuke, every time is so embarrassed, bring your 5 talented genius son to school, he is not tolerate. Jing Yan asked with a smile. Fei Sasuke smiled proudly. He is already at a level of tolerance. But he is only 9 years old this year. He can't participate in the previous evaluation, and he doesn't know who proposed the age limit. This proposal is stupid. Masahiko faintly looked at the face of Masahiko and wisely opened the subject. Day, you go ahead, I will talk to master for a while. Okay, father is an adult. The next 3 generations of childhood are somewhat naughty. The two chatted a few words and watched the children enter the school building one after another, and they waited outside the opening ceremony. In a short while, these children have been divided into classes, led by different teachers, and they are at the forefront, followed by several teachers who do not take classes, of which I am a very straight to the look, seeing Yen Yen really worried about these children. At the end of the simple opening ceremony, Masahiko did not stop. This time, the busyness of the ninja school was officially over, and it was handed over to the future. One thing has come to an end, what should be done next to mix points of witness? Jing Yan murmured, looked at his property bar, is there already 180 points? I can't use it for the time being. I have to be familiar with the new strength after I add it, but I really want to be lazy for a few years. Forget it, let's first play around the column and the spot. Jing Yan thought about it and went to the Huang office again. Between the columns, still busy, spotted? Oh, the second grandfather, there are signs of resurrection in the 9 tails, and the spots are going to catch them. And during this time, we have been exploring the whereabouts of other beasts, and I want to arrest them so that they do not destroy the village city. Masahiko's eyes turned, it's fun to catch the tail beast, is there any near-tailed beast? I can also help catch one. Yes, nodded between the columns. At the junction of our country of fire and the country of the wind, there is a one-tailed crane, and the country of the wind country ninja seems to be trying to catch it. The country of the wind? Jing Yan muttered, the life of the world of fire shadow 68 years, has never been out of the country of fire, Jing Yan has long wanted to go out. Therefore, Masahiko is looking positive, Huang adults, I applied for public travel abroad, and arrested one by one. Between columns. What the hell? I am stupid, really. Masahiko has not known how many times it has been so side. Walking in a desert, Jing Yan remembered the previous animations. In the first 5/5 talks, when the original generation of Huang proposed the proposal to distribute the tail beast, because the country of the wind had already had the tail beast, plus its geographical location. And the environmental conditions are quite sinister, so Huang proposed to let the leaves of the wood lease the fertile land to the Sand Ninja village, and obtain the 30% of the funds for the purchase of the tail animal in other countries, but was strongly opposed by other films. Thinking of this, Jing Yan suddenly realized that he was swallowed by Yen Yen all day long, and actually let the black belly in the column lie to such a place. In other words, what is it here? What is the border between a good country and a country of fire? There is no national dividing line in the Naruto world. Therefore, Masahiko flies all the way. There is nothing else in the desert except for the desert. It can only land. Nobody is anyway, any change, solution. Jing Yan muttered, dismissed. Long time did not reveal my young and handsome face. Jing Yan took the pain, took photos, and narcissism. My enthusiasm, like a fire, burning the entire desert. Jing Yan sang a song for a long time. But, burning, the desert, it's hot. Jing Yan sighed. In this place, the second level otter is completely okay. Do you want to add more? Masahiko thought about it, and the right hand was printed, God is happy. After a while, Masahiko was bitterly faced. It won't be so exaggerated. There are no chakra fluctuations in dozens of miles. Where did I go? Hey! Jing Yan suddenly felt that there was a chakra reaction in the west and turned and looked. What, moving so fast, chakra fluctuations are so strong? On the horizon, there was a small black dot, and the small point slowly became a circle, which was getting bigger and bigger in the sight of Masahiko. Hell. Dust mites, the original stripping technique. Masahiko saw the black spots coming to him completely, and quickly printed. Boom. A loud noise, Jing Yan looked at his sloppy clothes, the face of the mud, wanting to cry without tears. Just now he should choose to dodge, not hard fight, after all, it is all sand. A tail guarding the crane. Is there a public morality, can the tail beast jade be littered? Jing Yan sighed and went to the west. In the dozens of miles, Jing Yan felt a lot of chakra reactions. Shadow level, 2 people? Also at a guard crane. Jing Yan murmured, still cautious. Slowed down, Jing Yan slowly approached. After hiding in a soil slope, Jing Yan probed it, and there was a big bald head in sight. Hey, monk? It's really rare. Masahiko whispered. Immediately, the line of sight was attracted by the monk in the hands of the monk. He felt that the fluctuation of the tail guard was in that shack. A tailed crane is sealed? Is that a seal artifact? Jing Yan's eyes turned, is there a chance to grab it? Looking around, I found 3 people standing by. This is not enough for the 12-year-old teenagers, but at best it is forbearance. But this person will not be the first generation of the shadows in the near future, some troubles. Jing Yan murmured. Who is there? The old monk suddenly shouted, and the other 3 immediately guarded. Jing Yan scratched his head and stood up. I was discovered, is the old monk capable of perceive? Is it a traveler who died? Seeing Masahiko's ragged clothes, the first generation of the wind and shadow asked. Masahiko's face was black and he was about to speak. The first generation of the wind and shadow went on to say, is it wrong, red hair, the whirlpool of the country of fire? Masahiko is slightly condensed. Yes, I am the wooden leaf elder whirlpool Masahiko. Huang adults sent me to visit the country of the wind. I heard that you are building your own village. We are very happy and we hope to join hands to end the chaos. Elders? Ming is not big next year, still quite handsome. The opposite girl muttered. The face of Jing Yan changed, and the young looks were seen by them. If you go back, you don't want to be 5 years old. Otherwise, the 5-figure meeting is not afraid of revealing stuffing. In the mouth, he laughed. Little sister, is your little boyfriend next to you? If not, how about going back to my with his handsome brother? The girl blushes a little, he is my brother. Chiyoda. Don't talk too much to him, it may be an enemy. On the side, the first generation of the wind and shadow again. Masahiko has no intention to pay attention to what the enemy is not the enemy, the whole face has become a purple sauce, and there is only one thought in his mind. I seem to play 1,000 generations of mother-in-law, I will definitely drop the powder. He still doesn't give up, sister, your brother won't call Hai Lao Zong. A face to the teenager, how do you know? Masahiko's face is green, and he feels innocent. This elder of my village is fighting in the next, and is the leader of the village. Thank you for your visit. If there is nothing else, please come back. After some time, our village will be built and will inform the wood leaves. Slowly said, I did not ask why Jing Yan knew the name of Hai Lao Zong, a look of a guest. Masahiko scratched his head, thinking about the way in his heart, hoping to grab the crane without having to do it. Although the previous generation said that the 3 generations of wind and shadow is the strongest shadow, but Jing Yan does not believe, the 3rd generation of Huiying is still the strongest shadow, it is far worse than the 1st generation. This 1st generation of wind and shadow sand does not need 8 doors, I am afraid it is really easy to get it, there is an old monk next to it, one is not careful that it will roll over. After thinking for a long time, Masahiko did not come up with a good idea, and finally decided to retreat first, looking for an opportunity to steal the cockroach. Masahiko is holding a fist, Oyama is not there, green water is flowing, we will have a period. The 3 faces opposite each other. The donor, and slow. The old monk suddenly spoke. I see that the donor has a crush on his heart, or he has solved it. Masahiko rolled his eyes. Japanese monks are also called donors? Mindfulness, hands clasped together, Umaba, pour from the east, oh, no, master. Almost a word, I have no attachment, I will. After Jing Yan finished, he no longer wanted to open the old monk, and he left. After leaving for about 10 miles, Jing Yan hangs behind the 4 people with a sacred eye. He does not believe in this distance, and the old monk can still find him. After walking them for dozens of miles, they came to a temple with an altar next to the temple. The old monk placed the donkey in the altar. The 1st generation of the wind and shadow 3 saw everything, and gave a slight gift to the old monk, turned and left. In the dead of night, Jingyan placed a special shuriken under his feet. Several flashes rushed to the altar. In the temple, the old monk quickly rushed out. It was obvious that he knew the chakra of Jingyan. But it's too late. Masahiko smiled slightly, took out a seal scroll, and attached a seal to the altar. Mobile phone swordsmanship. In the distance, I can only hear the old monks shouting, "Door. Keep the crane for you. Leave the altar of the old man's wind." Episode 58, Tail Beast Row, Stealing. Take away the altar of the wind, and Jingyan feels that this harvest is full. I found a hidden place to rest for one night, and Jingyan staged the Jingyan day by day in the early morning. The place where the sun rises is the east. The sun in the world of fire and shadow can't rise from the west. I really didn't pay attention to it. Jingyan has completely lost his way and can only fly to the east. He only knows the fire. The country is in the east of the country of the wind. Good glare. After a few days of turning around, Masahiko finally set foot on the familiar land of the country of fire. Take a break, take a bath and change clothes, start a transformation, and go straight to the leaves. It is said that Naruto is going to save the country of the wind that I loved for a few days. I have been running for half a month. Jingyan scratched his head and thought of it again. This time it was actually pitted between the columns. It is really failure. Near the village of Mai. 1, 2, 7. Masahiko snorted and felt the volatility of the 7 beasts' chakra. So, in addition to the 9 tails of the spot, I am the last one? Between the columns, you are dead. Masahiko rushed back quickly and wanted to find the account directly. When I came to the entrance to the village, Masahiko almost laughed out. What is this, the tail beggar watchdog? The 7 tail beasts sit side by side on the sides of the door, and they are firmly bound by the rafts between the columns. They lose their consciousness. It is estimated that the wooden man between the columns smiles the dog's head. Elders, you are back. Huang adults are waiting for you. The Japanese people in charge of the guards greeted Jingyan. Masahiko nodded. I know, I will go find him. Naruto office. Second grandfather, you are finally back. Going back to the country of the wind for a week is enough. You have been there for so long, I am still worried. Without waiting for Jingyan to open, the column will take the initiative. Masahiko's face is black and dark. What can I do? I am desperate. Do you want to say that I am lost? Jingyan's face is positive. The second grandfather does not say that he is going abroad for public travel. This is not a turnaround. I will report the expenses to me. Oh, okay, you're fine. Have you caught it at the end? Asked the column. If I am out of the horse, how can I not catch it, just in this seal scroll? Jingyan took out the scroll and thought of it being pitted. The words, your tail beast caught it very fast. I see the village entrance. Already together. Well, the column returned. I grabbed it with a wooden split, and I caught it the slowest 2 days ago. Is that the case? Jingyan scratched his head and always felt that something was wrong. I saw the column and interrupted quickly. We went out of the village and recaptured one end. When I mentioned one, Jingyan no longer thought about the other, and followed the column to the village. In the direction he could not see, there was a gesture of victory behind the column, and he was laughing there. If Jingyan sees it, he will know that he has joined him in the column between him and the other. When I came to the open space more than 10 miles away from the wood leaves, Masahiko took out the seal scroll and solved it. The altar of the wind appeared in front of the two, and the column was just ready to be printed, but it was not a tail. It will not be the altar of the wind of the country of the wind. The sweat between the columns was wiped on the forehead. 2 grandfathers, you will not go to attack the country of the wind? Don't care about those details. Jingyan smiled. One end is here. Entering the altar, half a minute later, Jingyan took the donkey and walked out. Seal solution. The time is solidified here, obviously wanting to unblock the seal, but nothing happens. This thing, there will be no mouthfuls. Jingyan's face twitched. How can this be broken? Chanting. 2 grandfather, said the column between the columns, and said, this is awkward. Ah. Jingyan smiled and said, this is a seal in the skull. I stole from an old monk. Hey, borrowed. There is no word between the columns. Isn't the crane guarded by you? All said, don't pay attention to those details. Jingyan replied, how to unblock this thing? Difficulties, looking for a system. Masahiko looked at his property bar. Ceiling, LV6, 420328/600000, plus, witness point, 180 points. I am a rich man now, and some are witness points. Level 7 does not work on level 8, level 8 does not work on level 9. As a result, the 58-point testimony went down and Jingyan's mouth twitched. Ceiling, LV8, 1000328/50000000, plus, hell, 5 million? In the end, how many can be upgraded to full level? Xing Yan originally thought that he would just mix and match. How can he become a big boss with a full skill level in the 4 battles, now it seems. To grandfather? Keep the crane? Looking at the column between the column and seeing Yan has been in a daze, interrupting his inner pain and monologue. Nothing, seal solution. Xing Yan once again printed, the 8-level seal is really unusual, even if there is no specific method of decoding, the seal of it is also untied. A huge civet cat appeared in front of 2 people with a violet tattoo on his body. Hey! Damn old monk. Shoha was just released from the seal, and he looked around and shook his scream. Masahiko was black and covered his ears. After screaming, Shoha noticed the existence of Xing Yan and the column, bowed his head and looked at them both. Is you letting me out? As a grateful, I will eat both of you. Between the columns, let it be quiet. Xing Yan really can't stand this noisy civet cat. The hibiscus, the tree world is born. Mumu Man's technique. The fire shadow style Irshun technique. The giant wooden man's hand appeared in the word seat and pressed on the head of a crane that was bound by the raft. The world was quiet. How do you feel that the column has become stronger again? Masahiko whispered. All of them are in their 30s. Is the strength still improving at a high speed? The column was dragged with a raft to the door of the wooden leaf, and the 8-tailed beasts were together. The tail beast is sitting, Xing Yan smiled, and suddenly his face was stiff. Between the columns, you change the position of the 8 tails and the 5 tails. Although the column is not solved, it is still according to the words of Masahiko. Well, this time is much better. Xing Yan murmured, the left side of the wooden leaf gate, 1357. The right side of the wooden leaf gate, 2468. The Gospel of Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder. No words between columns. Well, my grandfather, I will go back first, there is still something to do, and I am still waiting for me. Wait, are you ready to catch these tail beasts? Xing Yan wondered. Catch it first, and wait for a solution later. The column swayed and quickly left. I always feel that I forgot something. Masahiko saw the escape between the columns and left. Forget it, run so many days, go home first. Xing Yan took the cockroach in his hand and shook it. This time there was no white running, the seal artifact. In the distance, the altar of the wind is crying. Wood leaves for 2 years. Masahiko walked on the street of Konoha, and looked at the gradually noisy my village. In just 1 year, the appearance of my village has been very different. A large number of civilians stayed, which led to the rapid economic development of the wood leaves. Some buildings were gradually built up at the request of the villagers. The convenience of the Konoha Hospital, the Kenobi Pond and various snack shops were established one by one. Masahiko is looking forward to a ramen noodles every day, but until now, there is no shadow. Another famous shop Maruchi shop was opened, and Masahiko had eaten several times and felt the taste. The establishment of the establishment was not established, but it should not be established. Xing Yan looked at the building in front of him, his mouth twitching. Wood leaf gambling? Big, big, big. The familiar voice came. If it wasn't for the fact that I knew that it was a scorpion, I thought it was a Sun Wukong. Since the establishment of the wood leaf gambling house, our beloved Huaing adults have never had their own office, or they are the day, or the wood avatar. The Nara patriarch has repeatedly tried Xing Yan's research method for this matter. Xing Yan has changed his identity to win the money between the columns, but the column will quickly know where to find a sum of money. Going to the gambling house. As for why Xing Yan can always win the money between the columns, it is because he spent 10 points of testimony. Gambling, LV10, 100000, full order, I want to be in the past life, it is a gambling god. Xing Yan murmured, but can't save the Huaing adults. Xing Yan did not want to give up, so today it has become another image, a whole shirt, ready to enter the gambling to win the Huaing adults. Oh. This is not the opening of Xing Yan, but Xing Yan and another person collided. After the body repair of Xing Yan, after the collision, the one who sat on the ground was actually him. Xing Yan raised his head in confusion and was about to open it. You looked up and appeared in front of the Uchiha wave spot that had not been seen for a long time. Uchiha was also looking at him, frowning and opening his mouth. Sorry, I accidentally bumped into you. Are you a new resident of Konoha? Good health. Masahiko was shocked, and the spot would still apologize? It's a long experience. I was about to change back to the original appearance, mocking the spot, but the spot was not waiting for Xing Yan to open and turned into a gambling house. Between the columns. You took my money away to gamble? Xing Yan reluctantly sighed and finally found the economic source, between the columns. As the patriarch of the great Uchiha is probably the richest person in the Woodleaf now. As for the column, the 1,000 hands are the money. However, the richest person should be me now. Xing Yan murmured, you can see how much Xing Jian won from the column these days. And, the money is equivalent to winning from Uchiha, and I am happy. In the gambling house, the first generation of Huaing adults faced debtors and other gamblers. It was different from other gamblers. In the face of spot collecting debts, all kinds of slogans came out, and what was a few more days of concession, what was turned over, and Xing Yan's dreams. One creditor has not yet finished, and another creditor has come over again. The column between the columns was bitter, and my heart murmured. Who is looking for someone to borrow some money? Looking for the second grandfather? The whirlpool should be very rich. After waiting for the day, the column will take the initiative to open. In the daytime, you have to believe in your big brother's gambling. I have only bad luck these days. Every time I want to win, I will be a person who doesn't know where to come from. Winning. Big brother, shut up. Looks helpless, give up, your money has been won by the second grandfather. The face of the door is changing, the Nara patriarch of the mouth. The number of faces between the columns changed, and suddenly realized. Oh, that is to say, my money is in that old guy? Uchiha's face changed a lot, feeling that his money is not hopeful to get it back. Big brother, don't gamble, there is emergency information. The column between the columns was serious. What intelligence, looked around and said, Pig, Day, let's go back and say. He sighed and shouted at the door, to Grandpa, let's go. Masahiko looked innocent and changed back to the original appearance, and walked over to the two grandfathers. The column between the columns and the word stopped. Xing Yan thought he was going to collect debts. He did not expect to hesitate. He said, teach me to play the dice. Masahiko is speechless, looking at the day, and there is no love in the face. Old guy, even if the money gives you a pension. The spot hates the opening, and always pulls the following son to Xing Yan to ask for money. After half an hour. Naruto office. Sitting between the pillars in the main position, the 4 elders have arrived, and they have not mixed their seats and stood by to report the situation. Big brother, just sent intelligence. At the beginning of this year, Shang village was established in the country of the wind. The leader claimed to be a shadow. In the country of the water, the village of Wuyin was established. The leader claimed to be a water shadow, the cloud was established in Leiji. In the village, the leader claimed to be Leiying. The Yanren village was established in the country of the earth, and the leader claimed to be a shadow. Now, all localities have called them together with us, the 5 great villages, the leader and the 5 shadows. In addition, the small countries also intend to establish a village, everyone has defaulted to a village and one country system. Compared with us? The spotted, dare to call us the 5 great villages? Pig. Interrupted between the columns, this is a good thing. The establishment of the major villages, our dreams are truly realized. Without war, everyone is united in a village. Naruto adults. Nara patriarch said. For the establishment of the other 4 great villages, we must be cautious. If we are not careful, we will evolve from a war between tribes to a war between villages and villages. Let them come. The spot opened again, and Xing Yan looked at him as a warmonger, looking helplessly on his forehead. Pig. Looked at the column again and turned to the Nara patriarch. I am going to send people to contact the 4 shadows and hold a 5-figure conference. What do you think? Seconded. 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 In addition to Uchiha, the 3 agreed at the same time, which is already a common practice for 3 people. Masahiko thought for a moment, the column between the 5 shadows just happened to solve the 8 watchdogs at the door. It's not a way to raise them. To grandfather, are you saying? I think the other 4 countries must be willing to spend money to buy them, just to solve the economic problems in our village. Xing Yan explained. This is not appropriate, the Japanese patriarch spoke. The threat of the tail beast is too great. If it is sold to other countries. Shake his head, the Japanese family is responsible for watching the beast, and they have the most eye-catching tail. The threat of the beast. The Nara patriarch shook his head and looked at the column and said, don't worry about this, and the distribution of the tail beast can balance the strength gap between the other 4 villages, and it is less prone to war. Then it will be fixed for the time being. In the daytime I will send someone to contact the 4 shadows. Nodded in the daytime, another elders meeting ended. Episode 59, Iron Country, Northern Scenery, thousands of miles of ice, thousands of miles of snow. The country of fire can't see the snow, right, between the columns, the day. Yes, Grandpa, said the day, but let's hurry, we are going to be late. Don't be, how are you getting bored? Jing Yan sighed. The three people of Jingyan, Zhujian, and Yanjian are heading for the country of iron. The first five-figure conference was held in the Iron Country. There is still a long way to go, and there is only one white snow in the eyes of the three. The Iron Country is a special country. A long time ago, the ninjas agreed that this country and other ninja countries have no war and belong to a neutral country. This is a country ruled by samurai, a neutral country with independent culture, independent authority, and independent combat power. This is the last holy place left by the warriors after the ninjas occupied the mainstream. After the proposed five-film conference between the columns, the other four films agreed to hold the first five-figure conference in the country of iron. As a fire shadow to participate in the meeting between the columns, as a fire shadow guard to attend the meeting. As for Jing Yan, he came to the country of iron for another purpose. After arriving in the Iron Kingdom, no one came out to meet, because today's Iron Country is still in chaos. The warlords were separated, and the princes fought for the sake of the five shadows to hold talks. They only adhered to the principle of neutrality and did not oppose it. Therefore, if you want someone to greet or even host a five-figure talk, it is just a delusion. After he sent the column and the room to the room where the talks were about to take place, he left alone. Five shadows, the other four shadows are only one guard, and Jing Yan is not very good to follow. And since the five-figure talks were held, the first-generation wind and shadow fights that Jing Yan had seen before would definitely appear. Jing Yan saw him, and some of them were guilty. Even if you lose a little testimony, this is a branch line, which is 2 to 5 points. Going around, Jing Yan saw all the warriors wearing thick armor, and Jing Yan was wearing a single coat with a swirling scroll, slightly awkward. After roughly a turn, Masahiko found the destination of the trip, a blacksmith shop. This adult, what weapons do you need? After Masahiko entered the store, a young man dressed up by a guy greeted him. Jing Yan looked around for a week, and the walls around the shop were covered with long knives, long swords, short swords. There are a lot of kinds, let me show you the best weapons. Masahiko is like a big money. The shopkeeper heard the words and immediately took a long knife on the wall and said, "This is the best long knife in our store. It only needs 100,000 and 5,000. Look, this blade." Oh. Jing Yan interrupted the road, took a long knife, and the fingers wrapped around the wind attribute chakra point to the long knife, and the long knife broke. The shop guy's face was sluggish, and it took a while to slow down. It's still a ninja, but this is 100,000 and 5,000. Jing Yan is now a rich man. He took out a silver ticket and handed it over. Give me the best weapon. That just. Masahiko shook his head. Is there such a large weapon with a decent weapon? The guy bit his teeth and walked into the back room. After a while, he took a knife and walked out with both hands. You are a ninja. This knife is added to chakra conductive metal. It is suitable for you. It costs 1.5 million yuan, but don't tell others that it was bought in our store after you take it. Sure enough, there are chakra conduction weapons. Masahiko sighed, this is the purpose of his trip. Not long ago, he found that his special handsword was missing. After careful consideration, I remembered that it was in the country of the wind. Taking out the psychic scroll, but unable to come back through the spirit, it is estimated that it was not sealed by the old monk, or destroyed by the old monk. Therefore, this time I came to the Iron Country. Jing Yan intended to see if I could get some chakra conductive metals. Why can't you talk to others? Jing Yan thought about this, but asked irrelevant words. The shop guy hesitated a moment and explained, ninja adults, you probably don't know much about the status quo of our country of iron. Since the emergence of the energy system of chakra, the samurai adults have been divided into two factions. Most of the samurai adults still abide by tradition, only learning the knife, and a small part of the samurai adults formed a new school, trying to integrate chakra into the knife. Masahiko nodded. So, this city is in charge of the traditional faction, then you dare to sell chakra-conducting weapons. The guy smiled. Before the boss got some chakra-conducting metal, he secretly built 3 knives. Now he has been bought too, and you have the last one. Masahiko was disappointed because he did not find that the man was lying, and the idea of buying some chakra-conducting metals was estimated to have failed. Well, this knife I want. Jing Yan took out the silver ticket and handed it over. Thinking about buying this knife, he might be able to extract some chakra-conductive metal by his own forging method. After, Yan did not give up on a few blacksmith shops, and eventually did not have any gains, sighing that he had come to the wrong place. I remember that the 3 ships will use chakra. After a few years, it should be the new faction. When the time comes, we will build 180 special swords. Jing Yan's heart went back to the 5-figure talks. Location. In memory, the 5-figure talk time is not long. After a long time, Jingyan murmured he had waited for 2 hours, and then joined the time of the upstream. Fortunately, Masahiko can feel the 10 powerful chakras inside, or they all think that the column will leave first. Until the evening, the door finally opened, and the 5 shadows and the guards came out one after another, and it seemed to be very happy. There is only one person in the gloom of the face. It is estimated that the column is in front of the 4 shadows to show off their own side. In addition to the inter-column and the shackles, there are only 2 acquaintances among these people. One of them is the first generation of the half-enveloped, but he looked at Masahiko and didn't care too much. It is estimated that he did not recognize it for a while. The age of 53 and the age of 53 are still quite different. The other is the second generation of the future, but now the original generation of shadow guards. I remember this guy is no more. How can I be full of bandages now? Isn't it because I was burned by the steaming of the second generation? I have some friction now. Yan thought in his heart. Second grandfather, let's go. The column came over and said with excitement, this 5-figure talk was very successful and successfully formed a covenant. Big brother, the face of Hui-ing has been thrown away by you. He turned around and said helplessly, and he glanced at Jingyan. Masahiko is innocent. Episode 60, Return to the Way, Northern Scenery, thousands of miles of ice, thousands of miles of snow. Second grandfather, you said this when you came in the morning. Interpretation of the poems of Masahiko. Don't you, I will forget you when you don't talk. You just glanced at me before you left. Jingyan thought again. Second grandfather, keep the crane, keep the crane. Zhu Xiang gave a look to the column. Jingyan's face changed and he stopped talking. In the daytime I was opened up. 2 grandfathers, the guardian crane was stolen from the country of the wind? Why didn't you talk to me before? This time, the 5 shadows meeting, the wind and shadow almost hit us. Later, I promised. Promised to give them an unconditional, only to give up. Speaking, sighed, big brother must throw away the face of Hui-ing. Jingyan decisively shirked his responsibility. It's your big brother who tricked me into the country of the wind. If I didn't grab the crane, I'm so sad to my grandfather. Afterwards, I squatted between the columns. I didn't expect the column to dare to come back. It's the idea of 2 people to think about cheating on the country of the wind. Jingyan's left and right, I saw some clues. Don't be here, there won't be anything here, the column quickly interrupted. It's okay, my grandfather, all of them have passed, and the 5-figure talks will be over. After that, the 2 men accelerated at the same time, and Jingyan was left behind. Wait for me. You 2 dare to join forces, to hang your second grandfather. All the way to chase, the 3 away from the Iron Country, away from the world of the 4 snowflakes, into the forest. Masahiko is already panting, and he finds that he is still inferior in physical strength, not to mention the column. 2 animals, I don't wait for me. I couldn't see the 2 in front of Masahiko. I was about to catch my breath and start my heart, but I heard a roar from the front. Jingyan quickly took a few steps forward and found that the ground in front of the column was a blackened black. It should be a trace of the detonation, but this attack is obviously useless for the column. As for the day, I have already handed in the attacker. The sword of Thor was cut on the other's arm, and even the wound could not be cut out, and it was in a stalemate. The attacker is 8 feet tall and is a rare big man in the world of Naruto. His face is covered with a black mask. So, it is not necessarily the flag Kakashi, or the corners of the mask. Jingyan murmured, it is not surprising to see that it is the corner. On the other side, the corner saw Jingyan appear, and snorted, forcing the day. Wuya village, Huangsuan, between the hand column, the head is 102, the 1,000-handed column between his brother and the head is 30 million, the wooden leaf elder vortex is the same, the head is 20 million too. I have all received it. The 3 people in the room were speechless, and there was some coldness at the moment. Where did this come from? After a long time, Jingyan broke the silence. Why am I not worth the money? Although you are the least valuable, but to save time, start from you. The corners did not answer, and the hands quickly printed. Masahiko is preparing for defense, but finds that the prints of the corners are familiar. Turkish rock hidden technique. After that, the corners are drilled into the ground and quickly moved away. Masahiko twitched and looked at the column and the room. He should have escaped. Scratching the head between the columns, haha, probably. 2 grandfather, let's go chase, shouted. Forget it, don't worry about it, let's go back. The column sighed and stopped. In the eyes of Jingyan, he crossed a line of familiar Chinese characters. To witness and participate in the story of the Hui-ing World Branch Line, the Angles have assassinated the first generation of Naruto, and obtained 2 points of witness. Jingyan sighed and shook his head. The horns are in the Hui-ing plot. It is a senior immortal ninja who once fought with the first generation of Huaying, a money supremacist, and manages Zhao's finances. In the future, in the battle against Kakashi and others, the fact that it once played against the first generation of Naruto was revealed. At that time it was indeed aroused by many people. However, the plot gradually faded back. After the first generation of Naruto reincarnation, this paragraph was ridiculed as a joke. Everyone was only the first generation of Naruto. However, according to the observations of Masahiko, the current corners are already close to the strength of the day, and I am afraid that it is not worse than the future generations. If Masahiko is not there, I am afraid that the corners will really be able to make a few simple moves with the column. It seems that there is a lot of side effects in this grievance. Although I can live forever, I am afraid that there will be no improvement in the strength. If not, the horns that have lived nearly 100 years of age are proficient in the 5 attributes. How strong is it? Xing Yan felt a bit of emotion and smiled. Sure enough, my gold finger is strong. After such an episode, there was no noisy feeling between the three people. The column seemed to be somewhat depressed. When he was thinking about it, he knew that the entire column was estimated to be because of the assassination. Ming Ming has successfully ended the warring states. I don't know why there are assassinations and plots. I also noticed this point next to me. I said with a sigh of relief. The person should have been the assassination unit of the village, not our wood leaf. The column seems to be even more sad. Seeing the two people revealing doubts, they explained, before my wood avatar saved a few people from the village, when the village was still being built. When I caught the tail beast, the 7 tails were clearly in the sight of the village. I saw that several people were forced to be endangered by the 7 tails. I saved them, by the way. Said the column. Gradually I feel that it is not right. Hey, aren't they arresting the 7 tails? Masahiko is helpless. This Naruto adult often turns into a natural stay. Jurin village is relatively strong in the small village. It is estimated that there is its own intelligence channel. This time you arrested the 7 tails of the people and sold them to the other 4 major countries. You get the news. If you don't kill you, you will have ghosts. Hearing here, the column between the columns scratched his head, revealing a sly expression. Do it, the assassination is right, so it is even. Masahiko and the Sai sighed. I am afraid that the village will not stop, and it will be much more prepared in the future. The 3 men returned to Mai, and the column was trying to summon a few elders, announcing the good news of the smooth conclusion of the 5-figure talks, and reached an alliance agreement with the other 4 major countries. As a result, it was found that the current leaves are slightly heart-rending, whether they are civilians or ninjas, and they are in a hurry in the streets. Back to the Huaying building, the Nara patriarch took the initiative to welcome him. Huaying de Ren, you are finally back. You are not in these 2 days, my village is in a mess.